Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving has been serving an indefinite suspension since he shared an anti-Semitic post on his Twitter. The issue turned into a bizarre situation for the Nets with no resolution in sight. However, things now look to be moving in the right direction as Irving's suspension was lifted by the Nets after he issued an apology. Let's take a look at the latest situation in Brooklyn and what's next. First things first, Kyrie Irving issues an apology for his conduct. After spending a sizable amount of time suspended, Kyrie Irving has finally issued an apology for his anti-Semitic conduct on social media. The Brooklyn Nets issued a statement on Sunday in which they explained that Irving had taken ownership of the mistake he made and also spent time talking to different members of the Jewish community. The Nets further said that they are happy about how Kyrie is handling the situation, going about things in a meaningful way. This comes after the former Cleveland Cavaliers man did an interview with Ian Begley on SNY this Saturday. It was an exclusive interview, and Kyrie took the opportunity to issue an apology for his tweet. He also shared his feelings about the controversy that had built up after his post. In the interview, he also gave an explanation for his actions and also talked about how he wants to learn from it and move on. Up next, what did Kyrie Irving have to say? The seven-time NBA All-Star gave a long and heartfelt interview in which he touched upon a lot of things, but mainly focused on apologizing for any hurt that his actions might have caused to the members of the Jewish community. While talking to Ian Begley, Irving stressed that he's certainly not anti-Semitic, and he never has been. He shared that he doesn't have any hate at all towards anyone who identifies as a Jew. He mentioned that it has been a difficult time for him and his family sitting at home and seeing how his image has been painted in the media. He said that he's not any of what the media is portraying him to be. The Nets point guard went on to say that he only wants to focus on the pain he might have caused to people in the Jewish community and just wants to wholeheartedly apologize to them for his actions. The 30-year-old said that he has had a lot of time to think and reflect on his actions while he's been out suspended. He wished that if he had the chance to, he would want to repair any damage that he might have done to the close relationships that he has with his Jewish relatives, brothers, and sisters. Moving on, what got Kyrie into trouble in the first place? Well, the former Boston Celtics man has pretty much been like a heat magnet over the past few years. No matter what he does or where he goes, he somehow ends up in more trouble than he did the last time. He spent most of the last season out because of his unvaccinated status against COVID-19, and this year he has spent a sizable amount of time suspended with this latest controversy. This time around, the 30-year-old caused quite a stir with his tweets. He posted a link on his Twitter to a film which was called Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. This film is actually based on a book that has quite some material against Jewish people, and the director of the film also appears to be a denier of the Holocaust. In the film, he also used a fake quote from Adolf Hitler, giving fuel to a conspiracy theory against the Jews. The documentary film and the book that it's based on also absurdly claims that many of the high-ranking people from the Jewish community worship Lucifer and Satan. Next, getting into more trouble by refusing to apologize. After his post gained some attention in the media, the Brooklyn Nets suspended him immediately for an indefinite period, citing that the point guard would need to work on a few things, which included issuing an unconditional apology before he'll be able to play again for the Brooklyn side. However, to make matters worse for himself, Irving refused to issue an apology at the start, and when people started hounding him with questions about whether he was anti-Semitic, he didn't give any proper or direct answer. And since anti-Semitism is obviously a big issue globally, the Brooklyn Nets had no other option but to suspend the athlete for failing to disown anti-Semitism. A whole situation that could have been avoided or at least handled better was made quite worse because of Kyrie's refusal to apologize. As a result, the Nets, who had already been dealing with enough problems, had another bizarre situation to deal with. And that really sums up how things have gone for the Nets in the last few years, where they always seem to end up with a controversy one way or another. Continuing on, what does the apology mean for his suspension with the Nets? After the Brooklyn Nets were satisfied with his apology and how he intended to move forward, it was indicated that the one-time NBA champion would be immediately reinstated into the Brooklyn squad. With the suspension lifted, Irving was right back in the starting lineup for the Nets in their game against Memphis on Sunday. He started the game alongside Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons, among others. It was a welcome return for the 30-year-old as Brooklyn defeated the Memphis Grizzlies 127-115 at the Barclays Center. Kyrie was on the court for 26 minutes and scored 14 points and made 5 rebounds. performance. The Nets are finally looking at some stability in the team with Kyrie back. For how long? Now that's the real question, but they should be able to get a consistent run of games out of their star trio in Irving, Durant, and Simmons, who finally looks to be back in some sort of form for the Nets. Next up, is Brooklyn a better team with Kyrie out? In the 8 games the Nets played without Kyrie, they had a 5-3 record, which is reasonably good if you look at their overall record. Apart from the numbers, it's no secret that the Nets have been playing some relatively good basketball in these last few games. People around the NBA are now asking if the Nets actually play better basketball without Irving. Well, just by looking at the numbers, we don't think you can ignore Kyrie if we're honest. Kyrie's record this season has been quite good so far, with an average of 25.4 points, 4.6 assists, and 5.1 rebounds per game. Even though the Nets do have a better record this season without Irving, it's important to note that there are factors involved as well. There's less noise around the team after Jacques Vaughn was named as the head coach, and there's also an improved Ben Simmons, which you need to take into account. They've also faced a few lesser opponents in this time period. If you're asking us if Brooklyn is a better team without Irving, well, we can't really say that they are. However, what we would say is that there are definitely some positive signs that we're seeing in the Nets gameplay in the last few games. And it seems that the inclusion of Kyrie doesn't hamper that, because he played against the Grizzlies on Sunday and the Nets still carried on their strong run in the league. Moving on, let's look at the stats. So far this season, the Nets had played 16 games before Sunday's game against Memphis. Half of those games were with Irving, while the other half was without him. Their record with Irving was 2-6, while without him it was 5-3. Their offensive rating with the point guard was 111.6, while it was 112 without him. The only massive difference is in their defensive rating. In the games that he played, the Nets had a defensive rating of 118.3, while without him it was as low as 106.3. Just by looking at the numbers, it looks like the Nets are a better team defensively without Kyrie. But that's not it if you ask us. The Nets did face a few of the weaker teams in the time that he was out, and held them at scores under 100 points. Against the most difficult teams in the Sacramento Kings and the Lakers, who were without LeBron, they gave away as many as 153 and 116 points respectively. This improvement is only down to Simmons playing to his potential to some extent, and the defensive changes that have been brought about by Vaughn's coaching. If they can somehow combine those improvements with Irving's offensive capabilities, we would be looking at a serious team. The only thing that we're worried about in this conversation is whether Irving's involvement will hamper Kevin Durant's offensive performance, who has been the Nets' main offensive threat in the time that Kyrie's been out. Let's see how things turn out. And that's where we'll end our video today. Thank you so much for being with us. We would love to hear from you. Have the clouds of controversy finally passed Brooklyn? Are you looking forward to Kyrie's return to action? Don't forget to let us know in the comments section. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for all the latest news in town. We'll see you in the next video.